Superman Ride of Steel Incident. In the summer of 2011, James Hackemer, 29, a war veteran who had lost both his legs in Iraq, arrived at Six Flags Darien Lake to experience adventure games. Towering above all stood the Ride of Steel, a massive roller coaster that promised pure exhilaration, 208 feet high, twisting through the air at almost 70 miles per hour. As he settled into the seat, an attendant helped secure the lap bar across his waist. Without his legs, the restraint fit differently, but everything seemed fine. The train lurched forward, climbing slowly towards the sky. The higher it went, the stronger the wind pressed against his face. A rush that felt almost cleansing, almost like freedom. Then came the drop. The world tilted, and the coaster roared downward in a blur of speed and sound. The pressure of gravity tore at every bolt and strap, and suddenly James lifted from his seat. Witnesses later said his hands clawed at the safety bar, his scream lost beneath the roar of the coaster. He was thrown upward, spinning helplessly through the open air before plunging 60 feet to the ground below. The autopsy revealed that he had suffered massive blunt force trauma to the head and torso, injuries so severe from the fall that they caused his instant death. The coaster screeched to a halt. Riders' scream froze in disbelief. When park medics arrived, it was already too late. After the incident, Darien Lake temporarily closed the Ride of Steel coaster. Dine with Shamu incident. In 2010, 40-year-old Don Banshee, a veteran trainer with 15 years of experience, prepared for another day at SeaWorld Orlando in Florida. Don had worked with these majestic animals for years, especially one massive orca named Tilikum, weighing over 12,000 pounds and stretching 22 feet long. Their bond looked unbreakable until that day. On February 24th, during a routine Dine with Shamu show, the performance ended as usual. Don crouched by the pool's edge, smiling and signaling to Tilikum. The crowd began to applaud, believing the performance was over. Moments later, witnesses saw the orca surge upward, grab her by the ponytail, and drag her violently into the water. What followed was chaos, a thrashing struggle between a 12,000-pound predator and a human who had once loved him. Underneath the surface, Dawn fought with every ounce of strength she had. The water turned turbulent as Tilikum's immense body thrashed, dragging her deeper, refusing to let her go. Her arms flailed. For endless seconds, she vanished beneath the churning blue until her body went still. Trainers rushed forward, helpless to stop the 5.4-ton creature. When they finally retrieved her, it was too late. Dawn had suffered drowning and fractures. The crowd fell silent, realizing they had just witnessed a bond between human and animal turn fatally wrong. After the tragedy, SeaWorld Orlando suspended all in-water interactions with orcas and implemented major safety reforms for its trainers. The Banshee train accident. In June 2024, 38-year-old Arnatanaro Nelson spent a summer day at Kings Island in Mason, Ohio. The park was alive with the sound of roller coasters roaring. Among them was the Banshee, a steel coaster known for its speed and dramatic loops. As Nelson walked through the park, he accidentally dropped a set of his keys near the track. Ignoring the warning signs and the tall metal barriers, he hoped to grab it quickly before the next train came. After that, the rails vibrated faintly beneath his feet. The distant rumble of the approaching train grew louder with every second. Then, in an instant, the roar of metal and wind filled the air. Nelson turned his head, just in time to see a Banshee train hurtling toward him at full speed, at about 68 miles per hour. According to the witnesses at the scene, the train struck him with devastating force, his body twisting violently before being thrown aside. He landed against the ground, tumbling lifelessly as dust and debris scattered around him. Screams erupted from riders and onlookers, the thrill of the park turning instantly into horror as the coaster screeched to a stop. Park staff rushed to the scene, calling for emergency assistance, but it was far too late. Nelson had suffered fatal injuries, including severe trauma to the head and body, and was pronounced dead after being transported to the hospital. The coaster incident. In 2013, 52-year-old Rosa Ayala Guyana Esparza went to the Texas Giant, not knowing it would be the most terrifying day of her life. The coaster, a hybrid of wood and steel, loomed high above the park. It promised fast speeds, steep drops, and thrilling twists. As Rosa took her seat, the ride attendant pulled down the safety bar. She looked nervous, but the attendant reassured her, "Everything's fine." The train creaked as it climbed the first hill, building anticipation. Then, with a sudden lurch, it plunged down the initial 75-foot drop. The train seemed to tilt, and a piercing scream tore, not from exhilaration, but from terror. Witnesses reported that Rosa was violently ejected from her seat. Her body lifted from the seat, flailing as the wind whipped against her face and hair. She flew through the air, her eyes wide with fear, before crashing onto the roof below. The impact was immediate and devastating, causing deadly injuries almost instantaneously. The autopsy revealed that she had suffered injuries to the head, neck, and torso, with multiple fractured ribs and vertebrae, as well as serious internal injuries, particularly to the chest and abdominal area. Onlookers and riders froze in shock. Park staff rushed to the scene, but there was nothing they could do. After the accident, Six Flags Over Texas temporarily shut down the Texas Giant ride for investigation. Waterslide incident. In 1997, 17-year-old Quimby Galati went to Waterworld USA in Concord, California. Students lined up for the Banshee Pipeline Waterslide, a towering ride promising twists, turns, and thrilling drops. Quimby, eager and laughing with her friends, climbed into the slide, unaware of the danger that awaited. The rules clearly stated that only one rider was allowed at a time, but a group of students decided to slide together, thinking it would be harmless fun. As the group descended, the pressure from the 7 people on the slide became too great. The structure groaned alarmingly, then suddenly gave way. Quimby plummeted through the air as the slide collapsed beneath her. In those fleeting seconds, her eyes wide with terror, arms flailing before she struck the ground violently from a height of roughly 30 to 40 feet. The impact was immediate and catastrophic, causing fatal injuries almost instantly. Onlookers screamed, rushing to the scene, but it was far too late. Emergency personnel arrived to tend to the injured, but Quimby had succumbed to her injuries. According to autopsy findings, she suffered a hinge fracture at the base of her skull, subdural hemorrhage, multiple abrasions and lacerations, and a fractured femur. 32 others were hurt, 6 seriously, and the ride was immediately closed. Bungee jump accident. On February 10, 1990, 19-year-old Thomas Wayne Hemme arrived at Rainbow's End Park in Auckland, New Zealand. Earlier, Thomas and the jump master, Jason John Collette, had been using stimulants, heightening Thomas's excitement. He and a friend flipped a coin to see who would jump first. Thomas won. With his heart pounding and a mixture of anticipation and nervous energy, he stepped to the edge, unaware that the cord securing him had been improperly attached, hooked over a nail instead of correctly fastened to his feet. As he leapt, terror instantly surged through him. The world seemed to tilt as he realized too late that he was plummeting uncontrollably. His arms flailed, eyes wide with disbelief, as his mind raced, trying to comprehend the free fall he had unknowingly entered. Though he survived the initial impact, the trauma was catastrophic, including severe fractures, internal injuries, and head trauma. He passed away after struggling with his severe injuries for 20 minutes. Onlookers were shocked, powerless, as emergency personnel rushed to the scene. The bungee jump was immediately halted, and Collette was later charged with manslaughter due to his negligence. He received 4 years in prison for his role in the tragedy. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and tell me which story you want next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.